Boom, got the buckle. There's so many pros out there doing recaps. And when I was going into the race, I was watching all these and I was, there needs to be some more videos about people just trying to get the small buckle. I was aiming for just under 12 hours. I was happy with finishing the race. I'm 2 months off of a collarbone surgery. I canceled the race after I crashed in Ironman Texas in April. And I just said, I can't do it. There's no way. And they wouldn't give me any money back. Lifetime has a no refund policy. So I said, you know what? Let me see what happens. I start training a month after my surgery, maybe a month and a half. And then I felt good enough to go for a 70-mile ride in early July. And then I felt somewhat confident that I would be able to make it happen. And if I didn't, whatever, I went for it. Long story short, finished the race in 11 hours and 11 minutes. And got my Leadville 100 MTB belt buckle. Very excited about that. Not a good biker. This is probably my 7th or 8th time on a mountain bike. And so a little dangerous, a little sketchy, but I had to take the risk. It was too much fun to pass up. I bought my mountain bike in July and raced Leadville in August. And Leadville is not known to be a very techy mountain bike course, so I felt somewhat confident that I would be okay. But there were some moments that were a little scary, and if I was better on a mountain bike, I think I would have felt a little more confident. And I think the biggest thing to plan for in this race is just overall fitness and grit. Something is going to come up, something bad is going to happen. For me, my clip broke on my shoe, and there was a bystander there that helped me. My knee hurt for probably the last 40, 50 miles. I have a patellar tendonitis, something rather, issue, and it's hurting here 5 days later. It's just a long race. It's going to take it out of you. Nutrition wise, I was eating every 2 gels an hour, and then I had my bottle that had 60 to 90 grams of carbs in it. I had several of those over the course of the race. I drank Coca-Cola at every single aid station, had some ginger ale. The start of the race, St. Kevin's, I took it real easy, and I was just very casual. If you're in the last corral, you're going to walk up St. Kevin's because there's just too many people walking already. And so I found that was kind of the theme of the day on a lot of the climbs was, even though I felt pretty strong and able to climb, there just wasn't an opportunity to. So St. Kevin's probably walked about a quarter to half of it and tried to get around as many people as possible, still taking it really easy. It might surprise you how many people attempt this race. You are passing a lot of people if you are in decent shape and starting in the brown corral, but at certain opportunities, certain places, you just can't. And so I got over St. Kevin's, and going up Sugarloaf was pretty easy. I had biked that before. I had biked everything prior to the race other than Columbine. I went out there one day and did a 55-mile ride, did the whole course aside from Columbine essentially. And so very familiar with that aspect. And then going down Powerline, pretty scary. I opened up my back suspension, and then I opened up my front suspension and just had a really fun time descending Powerline. No close calls, a few jumps in there, and it was a blast. I did see a pro female that got carted out, and so the danger was not lost on me. And I continually told myself, careful, be careful, settle down. Anytime I was going a little too fast, I literally would talk out loud, this is not something you need to die on. You still have a broken collarbone. So I got down Powerline, and then I headed into uncharted territory. Didn't do any of the race beyond that, really. And so the pipeline, aid station, Outward Bound, Twin Lakes, all those were great. And that was where I had the cleat issue. And so I tried to meet my wife. I unclipped my left, and then I couldn't unclip my right. It was moving with my foot. And so what happened was a screw came out of the clip. And so I was just on one screw, and it wouldn't unclip. So a guy just randomly was talking about that very same issue literally right next to me. Out of 2,000 people there at the aid station, there's one guy that's having a conversation with a friend of his about clips not coming out of the pedals, and he just raced over and helped me and literally had my clip fixed in probably 2 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. And it was just a godsend. It was incredible. And that was kind of the theme of the day, honestly. Everyone was just so friendly. Everyone was so nice and happy. My wife was so supportive. You're doing so good. You're doing so good. I was like, am I? I'm just riding. And I hadn't done Columbine yet. So we head out to Columbine, and a lot of it is fire road halfway up. And so I did that, no problem. And then you get to the more technical parts, and it is just I-70 traffic, Bay Area traffic, LA traffic, wherever where you're coming from. There's just no opportunity to ride really. And so you kind of have to walk up the remainder of the course. Something that everyone says about Columbine is it just never ends. And I couldn't agree more. It just seemed like it went on forever. And you'd have to walk large portions. And I get on my bike because I feel confident. And then there's just too many people. I was running into everybody. And so there's just really no opportunity to ride up the majority of that goat trail at the end if you're in the Brown Corral or if you're coming from later in the race. So I had to walk up a lot of it. I was still feeling good. I was taking in nutrition. I was taking in water. I had my electrolyte mix. But the altitude was starting to wear on me. I'm from Denver, so there definitely is some acclimation there, but it starts to hurt. And so I think another lesson that I would talk to a prospective rider about is just know what certain things feel like. And so I've done a few 14ers, which is climbing Colorado's tallest mountains, and you can know what altitude sickness feels like. And I would probably try to go to altitude prior to doing this race so you know what that feels like and you're not mistaking it for dehydration or for upset stomach or being hungry. And so very clear to me that it was the altitude getting to me and not necessarily nutrition. I saw the clouds kind of coming in and out. It's a different experience having not enough oxygen. And so I got up to the top of Columbine, and immediately this sigh of relief was like, wow, I survived Columbine. And I kind of felt at that point, I think I'm going to finish this race. I think I'm going to be okay. And obviously I had the descent ahead of me, and so I was way more scared of the descents than I was the summits. And so I downed a few Cokes at the top and said, okay, let's get out of here. People were kind of hanging out at the top, and I didn't want to get sucked into that trap. So I started heading down Columbine, extremely rocky in that beginning goat trail, extremely scary. Had my suspension open up again. I manually opened it up on my Santa Cruz Tallboy, and there's just so many areas that are really scary, and I'm holding the brakes hard, pumping them like you're supposed to, but they start making a lot of noise, and I know they're getting hot. I'm 180, 190 pounds, and so I know that I'm using them hard, but I have to. I'm not going to take risks that I'm not willing to take. And so I get down to the fire road and just fly down those fire roads, and I had passed basically the last person that made the cutoff, and so most of the fire road was completely open because the cutoff had already happened at the Twin Lakes aid station. And so that was really nice. If I had to descend Columbine with people coming up, that would have been a lot scarier. So I get to the Twin Lakes aid station, no problem. My knee starts really hurting. I found out if I pedal and continue pedaling, my knee stops hurting if I keep the blood flow. But if I stop pedaling, like I'm going downhill and not pedaling, my knee starts to hurt really bad. And so I was like kind of thinking, should I finish? Should I not? Thought about quitting, honestly, because I didn't want to permanently or at least damage my knee for Ironman Maryland in September. But I decided I got to do it. My wife yells at me. She goes, you're going to miss the cutoff. You're going to miss the cutoff. They're talking about the cutoff. And I kind of freaked out with 40 miles to go and just decided I got to hit this cutoff. So I started pedaling really fast for the next 40 miles, and I was basically passing everybody. One person passed me on a tandem bike. This guy's riding a tandem bike all by himself. His partner had quit the race because he was having neck issues, and the legend rode his tandem bike all the way in from Columbine. I saw him his partner get off the tandem bike near Columbine, or having issues at least. And he finished the course. Absolute legend. Finished, I got to power line. Again, can't really ride. There's just too many people. So you have to walk up most of power line. I actually really felt strong on the power line climb. I didn't do the hardest, steepest section, but the other rocky technical points, inclines, I really did want to climb, and I had to get off quite a bit because people just were in the way, and there's really nothing you can do. You have to hike with them, and then once you have an opening, you can jump back on. But people were struggling. I had managed my nutrition really well, never felt an issue with my stomach, really. I did get dehydrated a little bit around mile 60 and just used water instead of getting the electrolyte pack, and that helped immediately. My wife handed me my Camelback at Outward Bound aid station coming back, or Inward Bound at that point, and I felt that made a huge difference just having water. So everything just was managed so well, or everything turned out so well up to that point. I get to the St. Kevin's decline, and I was feeling like a much better mountain biker at the end of the day than I had when I started the day. And I flew down St. Kevin's and immediately found myself going too fast. A few points, like, calm down. You don't need to prove anything. Just, you can't crash. That's all you need to focus on. Don't crash. Flew down that, felt great, pedaled the whole way to keep my knee going. And then Boulevard, annoying, but passed a few more people and just was feeling so good. Realized I was going to finish and kind of started crying. So I'm like crying on Boulevard, and then I realized there's rocks and stuff. You got to watch the road still. You can't be crying. And I rode in and saw my wife and her brother who helped crew, and it was just amazing. I crossed the line and just felt so much gratitude. Such an amazing day, such an amazing atmosphere, so much fun, such a overwhelming feeling of accomplishment. You know, finishing under 12 hours was kind of my main goal. I really didn't have any time goal beyond that. I did want the belt buckle, and I was able to get it. So I hope that is somewhat informative if you're thinking about it. The pros finish this race in 6 hours, but the majority of people finish way beyond that. And so I think training wise, I've sort of been training since November of last year. I just crashed my bike in April, and so I wasn't able to exercise for about a month and a half to 2 months. And that definitely hurt my fitness significantly, but it's not like I came from zero fitness. A lot of my fitness did hold fast. And so I think I lost about 15% of my FTP. I didn't manage FTP at all. I kind of just managed my heart rate on my Garmin, and it didn't really work that well. And when I start to feel my heartbeat in my head, that's like usually when I'm around 165, 170. And my watch would say I was at 152 or something. So I just kind of managed RPE instead. And I think that made a big difference in just pacing myself and realizing that, you're not going to win this race in a 1 mile segment. You're going to need to manage the race over 105 miles. And I think I did a really good job of that. If I would give any beginner a few pointers, know what altitude sickness feels like, and know the difference between that and what dehydration feels like, because something will come up, something you will feel bad at some point. Do a lot of climbing. I had done the Tahoe Death Ride 3 weeks before. That was 14,000 feet of climbing on a road. Most of the climbing is on fire roads. A little bit of it is on rock. So I do a few mountain bike rides at least. I think doing it as your 7th mountain bike ride is probably ill-advised. But just be comfortable climbing, and I think that's honestly kind of the biggest tips. So best of luck out there. If you're thinking about doing the Leadville mountain bike race, 10 out of 10 recommend it. Had so much fun. Go buckle. Let's go.